Okay. Maybe few minutes, 2-3 minutes जति कुरुम्ला अरुला and त्यसपछि we can start.
So give me a heads up. I run that once like we're ready to start.
हुन्छ नि हस् नि. um, ल अब हामी स्टार्ट गऱ्यौँ है लाइक आई थिङ्क म पछि अरू मान्छेहरू पनि जोइन इन गर्दै गर्नुहुन्छ त्यतिन्जेलसम्म विल स्टार्ट नाउ सुनिराख्नु भइरहेछ नि है
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So, hello everyone. My name is Pranita Shrestha and I'm one of the team members of GDG Kathmandu. अनि आजको सेसन चाहिँ one of our Avyasta talk series को part हो. So Avyasta को अलिकति कुरा गर्नुपर्दा चाहिँ Avyasta is an experimental talk series where we are trying to bring different topics related to technology. We are also trying to promote the culture of knowledge sharing and getting better together during the pandemic. So your talk series is brought to you by GDG Kathmandu. GDG भनेको चाहिँ Google Developer Group हो. So it is like okay. So it is an all-inclusive group of developers and tech enthusiasts in Kathmandu. So यसमा चाहिँ we try to create an environment जहाँ चाहिँ everyone can come and support each other, share their knowledge. So it's basically like a comfortable zone where if you can talk with your fellow developers and share knowledge with them. So हामी चाहिँ primarily अहिले काठमाडौँमा based छौँ. So and before this whole pandemic thing happened, GDG had been running programs in both Kathmandu and Pokhara as well. So if you want to know more about us, then you can follow us on our socials like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So आजको स्पिकरको कुरा गर्नु पर्दाखेरि चाहिँ हैन today we have Rajiya Rijal ji. So she is a project management professional and currently चाहिँ उहाँ Leapfrog Technology मा चाहिँ project manager को रूपमा काम गर्दै हुनुहुन्छ. She has done her information management masters from AIT and has also worked in diverse field starting from QA, quality assurance, and she has also worked in manufacturing industry and even started her own company. So अब चाहिँ हामी उहाँबाट नै सुन्छौँ like how to build a great team. Rajiya ji.
Thank you, Pranita, for such a nice introduction.
Off गरिदिन्छ है.
Sure. Okay, so I'll be like switching on my video so that you guys can see who's talking, and I would encourage like if you guys want to switch on so that I can also see with whom like I'm interacting, and like maybe like quickly in the chat, maybe you could start like introducing yourself. Maybe you're a student, maybe you're working somewhere, or maybe you're an entrepreneur. So you can mention that in the chat, and I'll try to follow up on that. Okay. Okay. So can you guys see my screen? Okay, nice. So today I'll be like basically talking about like how to build a team, and when we are talking about building a team, like why not a great team? So that the topic of my presentation is like how to build a great team. And so what you can expect in this session is a brief introduction of myself, so pretty much around what Pranita just mentioned about me. And then I'll also like introducing what is the session about. And after that, we'll go into the specifics of like how to build a team. And I have not anything from the academics. It is truly like based on my experience that I've collected over the years while working in different sectors, and my different kind of experiences I've had, the mistakes I've made, things I've learned. So I'll be picking up from and then talking about like specific how to build a team. And finally, we will also have some time for Q&A where I'll try to answer your questions if you have any questions over this topic. So to introduce myself, so my name is Rajiya Rijal Shrestha, and then I did my bachelor's in computer engineering from Nepal College. After that, I went to Chennai, and then I started my career as a QA in Amazon Development Center. I was hired there in a contract basis, and it was a very short-term employment of around a year. And after that, I felt like I needed to like learn more in order to like survive in this industry. So I went to AIT Thailand to do my master's in information management. And immediately after completing my master's degree in AIT, I worked in ACL Thailand. So AA is a manufacturing company that manufactures those A4 size papers. And I worked in the IT IT section of that company as a system analyst. And after that, I came to Nepal for good and started my own venture, Mirror Wardrobe, an e-commerce website. It's no longer, I shut it down, it's no longer functioning. And I invested all my savings in Mirror Wardrobe and then started a new venture here in Nepal. And after that, I took a break of around 1.5 years to motherhood. So I have a four-year-old son as well. And now currently I'm associated with Leapfrog Technologies. And in Leapfrog, I am in the position of project manager since around 3 years now. And my tenure at Leapfrog, I've been handling projects in the healthcare domain. I've been dealing with clients who are like starting up their own company with entrepreneurs. In the past years, I've been involved in an EdTech related project and associated with Michael and Susan Dell Foundation. And yeah, and I'm also leading in Tech Guild Leapfrog, and that's how I'm associated with Nosla and her team, and that's how I came here. So yeah, besides work, I enjoy reading, although that reading is now limited reading quotes. I have very limited time balancing work and life, and occasionally I also like to indulge in cooking. So let's start by talking about what this session is. So in this session, like I said earlier, I'll not be drawing in anything from the academics. I'll just be drawing in from my experience of working with various teams in my profession. And so what I've learned is having a good team enables you to solve problems and enables you to deliver. And everything in professional life is a teamwork. I mean, you cannot function alone. So it's the fundamental of towards being successful, getting results, and you should be aware. I mean, it's a very handy skill to have in terms of like knowing how to build a team. So basically, I'll be talking about that in today's session. And diving into the specifics. So let's say like when you're building the team, first, what are the first steps? Like what should you be thinking about? What should be your mindset? So when looking back at my experience and then also like looking at what has worked and what has not worked. So these are the things that I've identified and tried to put here in the slides for you guys. So the first one, you need to identify the set of skills needed for the team. So maybe you're starting your own company, you're starting your own venture, or maybe you're like trying to solve a problem for a client, or maybe you have recently won a project from a customer, and then you need to like deliver that. So how do you think about building the team? First of all, as the owner of your own venture, or as someone who owns the success and failure of a project, you need to identify what are the set of that is needed to execute. And when I say skills, it's not that always hire the specialist or hire the experts, because experts might not be available all the time, and they might also might not be able to do that, especially if we are starting our own thing, right? So it's what I'd suggest is like hunt for ability to learn and adapt rather than like looking for specialists. And also like look for someone who has strong fundamentals. For example, if you're building or have this like very great idea of like solving this great problem by building this great application, then you might be thinking about tech stack, the end, and things like that. However, I would suggest you to get someone who has very strong fundamentals, very strong base, knows how to architect an application for you and things like that. So that always works. And next, so let's say you have found the people. And like one thing I want to mention in composition is always look for diversity. Usually what happens in the IT sector is we tend to get people who are IT experts and then, specialists in their field, let's say a very good backend developer, a very good, front-end person, or a very good data person, or a very good AI person, solving many problems within the AI industry. However, we also need diversity in a team, and we need someone who can think from the business perspective, someone who can think around what makes a product successful, and also from the design perspective, who is able to empathize with their customers and also with the end users. So diversity is very important in terms of team composition. And like once you have sorted out the team composition, let's say you have a bunch of diverse people in your team, and you have your specialists, you have your newbies, you have a person who is like very capable of learning new things, because that's needed in the IT industry, right? And what do you do next? We need to have a good team culture. And team culture is something that does not come instantly. It's something that you need to work on a daily basis. And like our lives has become so busy, and our personal and professional lives are so intertwined that we cannot like run away from the fact that we spend 8 hours a day, more than 4 hours a week in a professional work setting. So we need to have a very team culture in order to survive and be happy. So we need a happy team, right? It's like, next, it's as important as being happy in your personal life. You have to be happy in your professional life as well. And that by establishing a good team culture, a sense of belonging to the team, a sense of family, and then, end of the day, you all are human. So we need to think about the human aspect of the professional life as well. And it has to be, the team culture has to be fun, it has to be light, but at the same time, you're in a professional setting, right? So you have to have like strong work ethics. And how do we build that? So I would say start talking about work ethics early on, like make it a habit of the team. Let's say, for example, you have a diverse bunch of people, and someone is likes to work from 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. But is that acceptable to the rest of the team? So you talk about that, if it's okay or not, or how do you plan to accommodate that person in the team, because that person might be a valuable member of the team. You talk about what is acceptable and what is not acceptable early on, and you talk about what you have to be committed towards the work you're going to do, right? So you talk about work ethics early on. And next is you talk about the goal. Obviously, I mean, if you don't have a goal, it will be very difficult to pack of 5-10 people, or even 30 people around, and then without a vision, it's very difficult to bring together and work in a common goal. So a team should be trying to achieve a goal, and they should be well aware about what that we're trying to achieve. And the last but most important part is in building a team is like everything can be solved with a good communication strategy. So communication should be at the heart of everything. You have to keep communicating, and there's I don't believe there's anything such as over communication, but you have things that is there, but communication should be at the heart. And few tips I've mentioned here is when you're onboarding a new team, always do that officially. You give them the background, you talk about your goal, what is your mission with this project or with the thing, and then also tell them about the team culture, what is acceptable, welcome in the team, and familiarize them with the rest of the team members, and just create an ambience where they can thrive. And and also clearly talk about communication channels, like what are communication channels that you have established within the team. Is it like video calls a norm, or like is it always through emails and things like that?
दिदी सरी
And
है मैले बिचमा दिदी किन
हजुर
हजुरको स्लाइड्स देखिरहेको छैन भनेर मेसेज आइरहेछ लाइक एकचोटि बन्द गरेर एकचोटि फेरि सेयर स्क्रिन गरिदिउँ न
ओके एकैछिन ओके देखिरहेछ अब बोल्न
अडियन्समा हुनुभएकोले एकचोटि भनिदिन मिल्छ होला देखिरहेछ ए देख्यो अरे देख्यो अरे
Okay. Okay. So why you like? I
सरी है
can't see the chats here. That's all. It's not supposed to chats are not the kine raise again while I'm talking. So that's okay. 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 So anyone in the audience wants to like interact and remind me where I was? Okay. Okay, so next, the last thing that I wanted to like mention in terms of communication is like always talk about like how conflicts can be resolved early on, because when you are like working in the same team, right, conflicts are not so like some conflict also like within in the same team might not be might have like professional conflicts, like personal, you never know, right? So always talk about like talk early on how you can resolve the conflict within the team. Maybe there you assign a go-to person with whom you could talk. It could either it could be you, or it could be one designated person with whom you could go and talk and have like one-on-one conversations regarding the conflict you're having with the team. So the next thing that you need to identify, I think this is a very important part, like who leads the pack, who's the leader. So early on, that also has to be identified early and communicated early, like identify a leader, because every team that is working towards a common goal needs a leader to lead. And who is a leader? So a leader could be you, who is like, if you're starting your own thing, it could be you, or maybe someone who has the vision towards like achieving that goal, and someone who is ready to, get their
रजिया दी हजुरको आवाज आइरहेको छैन एकचोटि अनम्युट गरिदिउँ न म्युट सायद थिचियो कि
Yes, you share गरेपछि unmute हुने रहेछ क्या. Okay, where was I, Pranita? If you can remind me. like last time you heard?
होइन ठ्याक्क रिसेन्टली नै हो हुने बित्तिकै भने हो सो
Okay. Starting with you. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, so stakeholders, when you identify governance, and then you have to like understand the expectation of each of them, and then how to like communicate that, right? The next thing is like internal communication. So in the team, you have to have clear understanding of how you will be having the internal communication. Will you have weekly meetings? Will you have like daily stand-ups? So this is coming from my agile experience. So it has to be communicated early on. There has to be clear, transparent understanding within different persons, and also like one-on-one. So I cannot stress enough about like one-on-one. When you're working team, there might be like 10 person, and like sometimes you'll be working towards a then like कति कुराहरु चाहिँ miss हुन सक्छ हैन. Someone might be like expecting one thing and then getting on in a team. So it is always important to schedule one-on-one meetings with each team member as and when time allows, and it short 10 minute catch up, like go for a tea break, go in a normal setting, and then just talk about things like, dude, how are you feeling about this, or like feeling about the work we're doing, or like, do you need any help from me? So things like that, right? So, and then also like you identified your customers, stakeholders, and you have established internal communication channels. You have your one-on-ones in place. You could also have have something called as a stakeholder register, where you could like list down people you communicate with, and then timely check with those people. And like now you have the team, you have the work ethics defined, you have your communication channels, you are communicating, you're with your customers, with your team, and then what do you do? So the next step is you need to have like some sort of planning, not like exact start the key and some not everything laid out perfectly, but at least you should know which way to go, and then you need to have a plan of how to do things. So planning is important. Also planning is done together with the team. Maybe someone leads the planning, however all team members has to participate in the plan. And once you have the plan, you just like chop, get things done. So nothing speaks to the team like results. Like if you are something who thrives on productivity, like many people are, you need to, and once you have a good plan and good team in place, you need to get things done. And once you start getting things done, you'll have a set of results, right? That is the of doing things, you get some kind of result. And also never compromise on quality, and like be very adamant of this is something that we've learned in Leapfrog. We don't compromise on quality, because quality not only ensures that your current job is well done and well executed, also assures you get future work and people are positively talking about your work, and they're spreading a message organically. That is very important. And also be a team that executes. Nothing beats like execution. So just like execute and execute. Even though like you might have a great team, good culture, you know, everything sorted out, if you cannot execute, it will not take you anywhere. And yes, so make quality delivery a habit. And next, like once you have like results, once you have done your work, you need to showcase it. You need to deliver it to your end users or to your end customers, maybe to your investors, or like you need to deliver and showcase. Always like data or success. So always talk in terms of metrics, like how many users your application was able to sign up in the phase, or like the first sense of launch and things like that. Always talk in terms of metrics, because data always helps and backs up, right? And give due credit. So this one is very important in terms of building a good team that stays together, a team that is happy, and a team that feels where wherever applicable and wherever. And there's one rule of thumb, like always appreciate team members in public. And if you want to like talk about area of improvements, always like pull them aside and talk about areas of improvement in a one-on-one setting. And whereas like appreciation has to be done in public so that. And celebrate together and like always share the success with the team. And this one is also important. You need to have fun, right? It would be boring if you couldn't celebrate all your hard work with the people you've worked with. And another very important aspect of having good people and making them stay in your team is like fostering growth, right? You need to foster growth. Everyone needs to grow. Everyone needs to feel like they're going somewhere professionally in order to stay and then keep doing good things that they are doing. So fostering growth is very important within the team. And the first point is like always establish a positive feedback loop. So giving and receiving feedback on your performance is very important, and I think that's rule number one in terms of fostering a growth mindset. You should always like ask for your feedback, no matter like which role or position you're in, and then also like be able to feedback in a really positive and like way from where the person can pick up that feedback and then help them grow. And always like create a safe space when it comes to like giving and giving feedback, because you don't want to be like judging someone. You need to create a space where they are not afraid of telling about their talking about their areas of improvement. You need to create a safe space. It has to be free of judgment. No one knows everything by default, right? We are all learning, and we all have something to learn from each other. So have one-on-one conversations free of judgment. And in terms of like giving and receiving feedback and fostering growth, it's always a good thing to lead by listening. So listening is a very important skill to have, and allows space for difficult conversation. And someone might have like struggling with something in their personal life or in their professional life. So if you start by listening, the person who's talking space to talk about their individual struggles, the problems, and maybe potentially you could help them to solve it, or you could help them to like find the solution by themselves. The solution is with you, but you only need to have a conversation about it, right? So yeah, and also like sometimes talking about like having difficult conversations could be emotionally. And emotional, we should like understand that emotional responses are like natural. Everyone has like all kinds of emotions, and it's natural. However, space between your emotional brain and national brain, because this is something we're talking in terms of like professional, right? However, like support and empathize with everyone's emotion. However, like make that space between emotional and rational brain. And finally, I think this is the last slide for my presentation, and it's like don't forget to have fun together. And it's very important. Like I said, you're spending 8 hours a day, probably more than 40 hours a week with whatever you're doing in a professional setting, and you're working hard. It's very important to have fun together, even if you're like completely messed up in your delivery. It's sometimes very important to take a take the learnings, but end it on a lighter note, right? Everyone makes mistakes. So have fun together in a team, enjoy that time. Yeah, share your highs and your lows, and like I've mentioned in the slide, like work hard and party harder. That's very important in a team. That will like give you a sense of belongingness and togetherness. Yeah, so that's all from me. So if you guys can hear me still.
सुनिरहेछ दिदी थ्याङ्क यू फर सच अ वन्डरफुल प्रेजेन्टेसन है सो अब चाहिँ वी आर गोइङ टु स्टार्ट क्युएनए होइन तपाईँहरू कसैलाई क्वेसन्सहरू छ भने चाहिँ सोध्नु अनि अर्को चाहिँ के भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ दिस इज द फर्स्ट टाइम लाइक हामी भर्खरै वेबसाइटमा सिफ्ट भएका छौँ त्यसैले अलिकति टेक्निकल डिफिकल्टिजहरू बिचमा आयो होइन वी आर सरी अबाउट द्याट वी आर स्टिल वर्किङ एन्ड if like केही सजेसन्सहरू छ भने चाहिँ प्लिज डु ड्रप इट इन एन्ड वी आर स्टिल ट्राइङ टु वर्क विथ दिस होल वेबसाइट थिङ्गी फर आवर लाइक भर्चुअल कन्फरेन्सेसहरूको लागि सो नाउ वी आर open like for the Q&A like if तपाईहरुलाई के questions छ भने you can actually type it in the chat box and you can turn on your mic and ask questions पनि हेलो भइरहेछ हजुरको अनम्युट भएको के सरी म्युट भएको छ है ए हैन त्यो आई थिंक लाइक हामीले वर्क गरिरहेको छौं कि त्यो ऑडियन्सलाई म्युट ओपन गर्न माइक ओपन गर्नलाई मिल्छ कि मिल्दैन भनेर जस्तो त्यही भयो होला एउटा चाहिँ अघि नै सुरुमै च्याटमा क्वेशन आएको थियो हैन अनि आई थिंक अन बन्जाराले सोध्नु भएछ हैन हाई दी you have worked in a wide range of companies in 3 different countries my question is have you seen any difference in working office culture in Nepal and other countries
that's a very good question definitely so there's this term like cultural intelligence and that's what you get when you work in like diverse cultures and it's very different for example when I was working in India must say it's they're very strict they want you at office on 10 minute late when they muted okay so so what I was saying is like when I was working in India must say it's very like kind of office culture you have to be there on time and then you have to like the boss is like currently visibly the person who is very like strict and then well dressed in a tie and a formal shirt and things like that so in India that's what I saw ani Thailand ma say people are more like they are more chill okay there's a phrase in Thai which says like sabai sabai that means like take everything and that's how they are and they're very friendly people they're very like disciplined they don't compromise in terms of results it's kind of like they're approachable easy to talk to and then as long as you're doing your work it's fine so Thailand culture थियो अनि अब नेपालको बारेमा कुरा गर्नु पर्दाखेरि चाहिँ fortunately I've been like fortunate enough to work in a company where like there's an open door policy I can like and then ask about anything so it's been very pleasant and it's a very informal yet very welcoming kind of but like not as easygoing as Thailand but still better so much better than in India's experience I hope that's your question
yeah thank you so much and अर्को this is like a general curiosity you have worked with a lot of clients पनि हैन अनि इभन लाइक मैले सफ्टवेयर डेभलपर एज अ सफ्टवेयर डेभलपर काम गर्दा एकदम कस्तो कुनै क्लाइन्ट चाहिँ एकदम अन्डरस्ट्यान्डिङै नहुने उनीहरूले भनेकै गर्नुपर्ने त्यो हुन्छ नि जुन फिजिबलै छैन सो त्यस्तो क्लाइन्टहरूसँग चाहिँ हाउ डु यु लाइक वर्क एज अ प्रोफेसनल के विदाउट अफेन्डिङ देम तर हुन नसक्ने कुरा त नहुने कुरा त जस्तो भगवान त हैन नि त हामी सो हाउ डु यु वर्क विथ द्याट
clients difficult so first step say so many experience I have like worked with very difficult clients as well but she say like what I what I realized is like we need to empathize with them okay? What is making them like say all that like we're also humans like so just like trying to empathize with them and being on their shoes turns out like they're spending this like their fortune on this product that they believe in, and it's their hard-earned money, and then they want to get results out of it. And हामी चाहिँ usually कस्तो हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि अब IT इन्डस्ट्रीकै बारेमा कुरा गर्दाखेरि we're like onshore offshore काम हुन्छ नि त, they are based in the US or like other countries. अनि नेपालमै भए पनि कतिमा चाहिँ अब स्पेशली मेरो केसमा चाहिँ we're like offshore बाट काम गर्छौँ, they haven't seen us, they have never met us, they don't know our culture, हैन, and they're a bit unsure okay how things would turn out. So until we gain that trust, they might behave like that, but you need to like always empathize with them and then try to understand where is it coming from. Are they insecure that we might not get their work done, or like do they not trust us? So until you gain that trust, it's difficult, definitely, but you are able to like execute and then give results. So they were the results or produce एकदमै important हुन्छ, and once you produce that result and once you gain their trust, it becomes easier.
Okay, thank you Dee. अनि अर्को अनमञ्जराजीले फेरि अर्को क्वेसन सोध्नु भएछ हैन. Thank you for your answer. You said that you are passionate about reading. What are some cool non-fiction books that you would recommend?
Yeah, so yeah, I like reading. So I listen to Mama Africa भन्ने, like I forgot the author, and I'm reading that. That is also pretty interesting, non-fiction ma. Ani अर्को चाहिँ I like reading autobiography जस्तो, हैन. For example, एउटा चाहिँ although fiction ma classify हुन्छ, तर Shantaram is a book that I've enjoyed like thoroughly. I also like emailed that author once, हैन, to know more. So त्यता कति उसको personal life experiences-हरु पनि छ भन्ने सुनेको थिएँ. So yeah, I'm also I enjoyed reading. As I am introduction, I don't get a lot of time to read, so I just do reading quotes. So I love reading like Rumi quotes or
Rumi is like a very great author, right? Because man पर्छ मलाई नि उसको. अनि अर्को क्वेशन चाहिँ उमेश जी को छ, हैन. How would you draw a line between friendliness and leadership? I mean, boundaries or strictness, or there should not be any line at all,
right? So again, like, this is a very good question, and you're saying, you ask yourself when you're working, I know where you should draw the line, because you're like spending so much time with your team, but in a professional setting, right? It's not college, or it's not where you come and then socialize. It's you're working. So this मेरो experience always like talk about what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. So the deliverables and then work ethics. If you bring that topic up, people will realize that you're in a professional setting, and then you sort of like already draw that line a little bit that you're in a professional setting. How you need to enjoy that professional setting, and you're human after all, and you need to socialize, and you might end up making good. So you need to have fun also, and you need to include the human factor also. But at the same time, you're in a professional setting, you need to execute and get things done. I know this could like you have one-on-ones are very important. You talk about like one-on-one session. I really want to get this done. I know if you like you're doing this really great, and I'm like cultures that all you talk drawn somehow. It's the rigid knob. I mean, there has to be. It's a fine line. If you talk about like work ethics and what is acceptable and not acceptable in a professional setting, then let's look at the lines of draw also.
एउटा चाहिँ अब अहिले हामी एकदम पेन्डेमिक सिचुएसनमै छौं, हैन. सो अहिले यो जुन कोभिड पेन्डेमिक चाहिँ त्यसले चाहिँ हजुरको अब the whole team को dynamics कसरी change भइराको छ, या there is no change at all or something like that?
Yeah.
And how are you managing during this?
Yeah, so team dynamics alikata halka cha change bhacha, in the sense that we don't get that like tea breaks. के पहिला चाहिँ कस्तो हुन्थ्यो भन्दाखेरि when you're working together in the same office space, we just like हुन्छ नि कामबाट टाउको दुख्यो भने we just go to the lobby and then have tea and talk about all things, what's going on in life when we talk, but that opportunity is somehow missed. And then खाली काम मात्रै हुन्छ, you have things to deliver and then you do that, right? अनि हाम्रो टिममा चाहिँ we've identified that somehow we're missing हैन अनि ह्यापी आवर्स भनेर चाहिँ टाइममा अनि आवरमा चाहिँ we play games हैन अनलाइन scribble or something like fun हैन we play that game together अनि अलि फ्रेसन अप गर्छ हैन अनि कहिलेकाहीँ चाहिँ we have extended stand ups अब अजाइल सेटिङमा काम गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ डेली स्ट्यान्ड अपहरू हुन्छ त्यो चाहिँ युजुअली अब इट्स सर्ट हैन बट अहिले पेन्डेमिक सिचुएसनमा चाहिँ we like finish our status of the work we're doing, we take like few minutes off talking about like what happened during the weekend. तिम्रो लोकल कतिजनालाई कोभिड लाग्यो अनि त्यस्तो कुराहरू पनि गर्छौँ अनि we also try to catch up like के हुँदैछ कति आइरहेछ कि छैन is it okay that you're able to work हैन त्यस्तो कुराहरू गर्छौँ we try to like have casual conversation.
Yeah, त्यो चाहिँ एकदम कोभिड लाग्यो त इज लाइक कमन क्वेसन नै भइसक्यो अहिले अनि अर्को चाहिँ अस्मिजीले सोध्नु भएको छ हैन what's your leadership style and how different leadership style changes the dynamics of the team?
Okay, so I'm not sure leadership style what you're asking I'm not sure तर personally मेरो बारेमा कुराउनु पर्दाखेरि चाहिँ things that needs to be like done and needs to be done म चाहिँ त्यस्तो छु हैन regardless of what हैन तर if you are not able to do that हैन probably केही न केही चाहिँ छ होला I trust my team members भनौँ न so I think that's my style and I communicate all the time हैन and I like about the people I work with and I just अहिले नै पनि virtually पनि I try to connect with them on like one-on-one setting कोही कसैलाई के परिरहेछ कि personally life मा पनि so I think I bring that personal त्यो हुन्छ नि कहिलेकाहीँ चाहिँ कस्तो हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि I don't want to like separate personal life totally altogether of course and there are boundaries things you want to share and certain things you don't want to share but always like I try to check in like what's happening in life in general like how's the family and things like that. You never know हैन कहिलेकाहीँ चाहिँ someone might be going through something त्यो त्यसले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ केही चाहिँ अफेक्ट परिरहेको हुन्छ हैन टिममा अनि let's say if something is not done then I try to understand that so that I can also communicate with people I need to report to हैन कि यस्तो यस्तो भइरहेछ भनेर so transparency चाहिँ मलाई मन पर्छ and then that's how I'd like to keep things at work also.
So अर्को चाहिँ अमृता जीको क्वेसन छ हैन how do you define constructive criticism to foster effective team building? Any specific useful examples you from your experience?
Yeah, so constructive feedback दिन चाहिँ एकदमै important हुन्छ हैन अनि it's very important that you you know have that slide मा पनि मैले mention गरेको छु हैन in order to like foster you need to have that safe space where you are trying to work so कहिले कस्तो हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि someone is just not the right fit for the team उसको अब मेरो चाहिँ एक्सपिरियन्समा पनि त्यस्तो भएको छ एकचोटि हैन worked with a person who's like very bright person so त्यसमा चाहिँ he or she had their own like set of skill हैन तर somehow it's not like working for us so त्यो बेलामा what I did was I pulled that person aside and then I just had a very honest conversation listen I know that you're great at so and so but probably like this is not working out for us we've talked and we had a very that person also acknowledged ki yeah maybe this is not the right place for me might not fit in another place so it's always important to have that conversation positively and also like try to lead by listening I think it's very important first you need to listen what's going on and once you listen what the other person has to say or what are you can empathize with them and then you probably find a solution. So I hope I answered your question with that.
Hopefully like if कुनै क्वेसन को like answer अझ बुझ्नु भएन भने you can always chat मा भनिदिनु भयो भने फेरि हुन्छ हामीलाई नि so अनि अर्को कुरा चाहिँ हैन अब यही कोभिड को रिलेटेड मा हैन how do you make sure कि तपाईको टिम मेम्बरहरूले चाहिँ हैन अब अहिले त सबैजना वर्क फ्रम होम नै भइराछ नि त सो अहिले एकदम स्ट्रेस पनि भइराछ अर्कै खालको स्ट्रेस भइराछ सो how do you make sure that your team members do not feel mentally and emotionally low during this whole pandemic or work from home situation?
Right. So यसमा चाहिँ हाम्रो लाइक लिपफ्रगको बारेमा स्पेसिफिकली कुरा गर्दाखेरि also they organize like meditation session and we have like this counter strike going on हैन कहिले कहिले चाहिँ के भइरा हुन्छ अनि त्यसले पनि somehow like it relieves the stress है अनि पर्सनली कसलाई के भइराछ भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ समटाइम्स चाहिँ मिस हुन सक्छ कि त्यो चाहिँ अब एकदमै प्र्याक्टिकली कुरा गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ यु नेभर नो हैन कसैलाई लाइक यो होल सिचुएसनले चाहिँ पर्सनली कसरी एफेक्ट गरिरहेछ भनेर बट हाम्रो साइडबाट चाहिँ वी ट्राई टु यु नो टक अबाउट इट कि बेसिकली लाइक हुन्छ नि कोभिडले गर्दा कसैलाई के भएको छ भने यु क्यान अलवेज टक टु मी भनेर चाहिँ हामीले त्यो डोर चाहिँ ओपन वी like keep that door open you know for people if they need to talk about it तर practically भन्ने हो भनेदेखि चाहिँ we actually don't know कि कसको चाहिँ के struggle छ भन्ने ठ्याक्कै exactly चाहिँ थाहा छैन but we have different company initiatives that's like trying to cover यो सबै कुराहरू but we don't have like exact data and facts.
So अर्को चाहिँ भुवनजीको क्वेसन छ हैन actually what do you mean by control emotion and how it is emotion okay control emotions and how it is how do we know each other what
okay so control emotion चाहिँ के भन्नु खोजेको भन्दाखेरि सो इमोसनल जस्तो कहिले कस्तो हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि it has happened to me के so कहिलेकाहीँ चाहिँ like you're not in a good place and probably you haven't like delivered to the mark when you haven't satisfied your like whoever you're reporting to your bosses or whoever and this situation is जहिले पनि आउँछ के in professional life and you're not perfect no one is perfect and I have myself faced that अनि it's very easy you know for emotions to take over you know and moment where you realize ki after having a difficult conversation for example someone is like giving really critical feedback and then you feel so emotional because you've worked so